Okay, hello everybody. My name is Ann Raridan. I'm with Sustainable Blacksburg and want to welcome you to this month's Lunch and Learn on Sustainable Transportation. So remotely we have Nick Quint with Virginia Tech Alternative Transportation, and here in person we have Lincoln Sklar with Blacksburg Transit. So Nick is going to start first and talk about the Huckleberry Trail and the roam bikes.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you, Ann. Yes, so as Ann mentioned, the topic here is sustainable transportation, but we'll be talking kind of specifically about bicycling and taking the bus. And so I was kind of like looking for some image inspiration for this title slide and happened to find this bicycle bus that, of course, is a thing in Europe, but not yet available in the US. But if anyone is interested in making this happen in Blacksburg, I'm definitely interested in being involved. So the agenda, I'll talk about the Huckleberry Trail, or specifically Friends of the Huckleberry Trail, that organization, as well as discuss the Roam NRV bike share system, and then Lincoln will take over to talk about the Blacksburg Transit. So Friends of the Huckleberry, the Friends of the Huckleberry is a nonprofit organization that's been around for 30 years now, actually just celebrating its 30th anniversary. For a large majority of that time, Bill Ellenbogen was president of the board, but in late 2020, he sort of stepped down from that leadership position, and Beth Lohman took over. Since she's taken over the president's role, she's been involved in a lot of changes, helping to build out the board. She's added some new members, as well as added me from Virginia Tech as an ex officio member. Previously, it's just the town of Blacksburg, town of Christiansburg, and Montgomery County that were represented there. And we'll kind of get into some of the other changes that are also underway. But a little bit about the trail first. So the original trail is around 8.3 miles, runs from the town of Blacksburg library, where all of you are, to the Christiansburg Rec Center. And then there are two kind of offshoots, segments that we call the Huckleberry North and Huckleberry South. Huckleberry North runs up to the Gateway Trail, just on the other side of Heritage Park, and then Huckleberry South runs south from Cambria Street to the Christiansburg High School. So in total, there's about 15 miles of trail. But then there are certainly a lot of trail connections that can be made via the Huckleberry Trail, which is really kind of what's most exciting. These provide opportunities for people to connect with nature, and also just provide better access to the trail so that people can enjoy it. And so some of these systems include the Poverty Creek Trail system, located in the Washington Jefferson National Forest. There's also the Brush Mountain Park, which currently has the McDonald Hollow Trails, 5.4 miles of trails, but there are plans underway to add additional trails to another parcel located nearby. And then the Coal Mining Heritage Park in Montgomery County, kind of in the middle of the Huckleberry Trail system, which is just a small sort of loop trail around a former mining site. And so since Beth has taken over, sort of one theme that has kind of emerged as the organization moves forward is kind of helping to let people discover the trail in new ways. And so I'll kind of get into that some. This will sort of be a reoccurring theme as we move forward. But some of the things that have been worked on since in 2021 were to help provide resources for people to discover the trail in new ways, and kind of promote those community connections. I worked to develop partnerships with organizations that support trails, and create a master plan to help sort of provide a vision for the future of the trail. And so pretty early on, a new website was created. It's huckleberrytrail.org. It was interesting after looking at some of the analytics. We were surprised to learn that people were kind of interested in parking, where to park to access the trail, and so there were some things that came up that were maybe hidden on the website, but were things that people frequently were searching for. So the website was redesigned to help make it easier for people to find the information that they were looking for. We also provided some additional information and created a way for people to donate to the organization at any time of the year, whenever they felt inclined to do so. The original sort of Huckleberry, the sort of Huckleberry Trail main segment was pretty well marked with mile markers, but other segments were certainly lacking. And so one thing we worked on was to kind of complete all the trail segments with mileage markers, so people could kind of get a better sense of where they're located along the trail. And so those have been installed since August of 2021. And we've been working to get people to sponsor those. There's certainly opportunities available if any of you are interested in that. But they're out there for people for users' benefits currently. And then this was a really big undertaking. The friends worked with Pisgah Map Company, a kind of really well-known photography organization, to create a Huckleberry Trail map for the area. And it's bigger than the Huckleberry Trail. It's the first map that kind of shows not just the Huckleberry Trail, but also those connecting trails that I mentioned earlier. So the Poverty Creek Trail System, the McDonald Hollow trails, trails on Virginia Tech's campus, Heathwood, elsewhere, just all the connecting trails. So it's really great to have all of those in one place, on one map, for the first time ever. And so we've partnered with local businesses to help to sell these maps to the public. We've sold over 800 copies to date, and are actually already working on an updated version. And then we also partnered with Avenza Maps to provide an electronic version of a map. And so this can be downloaded via the Avenza Maps app, and then used sort of with your phone's GPS signal to kind of help figure out where you are on the map, even if you are kind of out of range of a network or Wi-Fi signal. And then I mentioned this earlier, but a really big undertaking is the Huckleberry Trail Master Plan, which got started in October and is currently kind of wrapping up. But this has helped really kind of get everyone on the same page. All of the, as this, since this is a regional trail, there are multiple jurisdictions and entities kind of involved in maintaining and planning it. This effort has really helped get everyone together and on the same page, and establish some best practices for maintenance, as well as kind of responding to issues, help list out future trail projects and prioritize those, and really kind of sort of define what that sort of consistent experience is for everyone that utilizes the trail. So no matter where you get on the trail, it is kind of one Huckleberry Trail. And then as part of that effort, in February, Amy Camp from the Cycle Forward organization came to town and led a workshop. So there were sort of two parts to this. The morning session involved actually going out to different segments of the trail and walking those and really sort of taking in what that experience was like and jotting down notes. And then everyone kind of gathered together at one place that afternoon and talked about what their experience was like, what their experience has been like on the trail just in general, and what they sort of see for the future of the trail, what it could be, and kind of we're able to share those ideas with everyone. So I really sort of looked at the existing assets along the trail, and sort of how to utilize those to sort of make the Huckleberry Trail sort of bigger than kind of what it is currently. And so that all of this kind of work has been included in the Huckleberry Trail Master Plan effort. So then moving towards 2022, again, we'll continue to develop small business and nonprofit partnerships to help establish that network of organizations to support trails, as well as providing resources for users to discover the trail in new ways. And so something that the Friends is currently working on is partnering with Wonder Universe to create some field explorer backpacks that people who visit the museum can check out and sort of go use on the trail, which of course is just right nearby, just across the parking lot. And so this allows the children to kind of extend their sort of playtime from the indoors at the museum to the outdoors, and will just be a great partnership for both the Friends and the Children's Museum. So kind of work is underway to develop those. We hope to have them available later this summer into the fall. Also, the Friends of the Huckleberry was very fortunate to receive or be selected as the focus of the Chamber of Commerce's leadership program's legacy project. And so Beth will be working with that group to review the organizational structure of the organization to see how we can build capacity. Also work to again strengthen those partnerships with local businesses and nonprofits, and to build that network to support the expansion of the trail. Local artist Matt Gentry recently completed a watercolor series at 14 different locations along the trail. Those are currently on display at the Art for Lawyer, and in July on the 20th, there will be an artist talk. There's a limited number of prints that are available for sale, and the originals will also be auctioned off in the fall, with the proceeds going to the friends. And then something that I'm really excited about is sort of the reintroduction of huckleberries along the Huckleberry Trail. And so I think probably most people know the story of the Huckleberry Trail. There was a passenger rail line between Christiansburg and Blacksburg, and the steam train was kind of notorious for like stalling or just going so slow that people were able to hop off the train and pick the wild huckleberries. And so the train was sort of nicknamed the Huckleberry Train, and the station in Blacksburg was called Huckleberry Station. And so, of course, it's how the name Huckleberry Trail came to be. But currently, they're not really. It's very hard to find huckleberries along the trail, and so we're working to identify locations where we can reintroduce these, and also kind of remove some invasive species at the same time. And then another really exciting project we have underway is the development of an interactive map that it's going to be electronic, but it's going to be sort of more engaging than what's currently available. So we'll have, of course, this will have sort of video components, and you'll be able to learn about different aspects of the trail, maybe some of the history, some of the natural and cultural assets as well, both so along the trail, but also in neighboring areas, so we can kind of help to tell that story and provide people a much richer experience as they use the trail. And so I'll leave it at that. I'm happy to answer questions, but I also wanted to just provide Beth Lohman's contact information. So I know she is more than happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. So I don't know, I can continue on, or I can pause here for a minute.
I think you're good, Nick. Any questions? Nick, did you hear that?
Sorry, I did not. I could hear that there was some noise, but I'm not able to make out anything.
They're asking where the maps are available.
Yes. Let me jump up. So the businesses. So you can kind of see in the bottom right corner of this slide here that the local businesses where maps are available. So I know the closest place to the library is Blacksburg Books, right there across Main Street.
We'll make this available. Yeah, on our website.
Was there anything else? Sorry.
I think you can go on, Nick.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now let's jump into the Roam NRV bike share system. This system launched in July of 2018 with 75 pedal bikes. You probably remember them. They were orange, had the Roam New River Valley logo on them. Primarily, it had hub locations on Virginia Tech's campus, but also a couple in the town of Blacksburg and in the town of Christiansburg. A year ago, actually, the system was relaunched with the introduction of pedal assist e-bikes, and this kind of really helped to reduce the barrier to entry for many. And so the way the pedal assist e-bikes work is you once you pedal for a couple rotations, a motor kicks in and helps get you up to 15 or 20 miles per hour, depending on kind of where you are. But really kind of makes it easier for you to get up hills, and I know there are many of them in the area, and just kind of help you get around without breaking a sweat. And there's still pedaling involved, but it's certainly it's much a much easier ride for most people. And so the way this works, it's fairly simple. You of course got to download the Gotcha powered by Bolt app. It's both available on the Apple App Store as well as the Google Play Store. Once you've downloaded the app, you'll have to create an account, and so you'll need both your phone number and email to do that. And you'll also have to enter in payment information. And so once all that is entered, you can see in the app where bikes are available. If you're at a bike share hub already, all you have to do is walk up to one of the available bikes and scan the QR code located kind of near the handlebars. That will unlock the bike, at which point you can hop on, go for a ride, and then return it to any one of the hubs in the system, and just end your trip in the app. And now there are several. So bike share is kind of it's a membership based sort of bike rental system is kind of the way to think of it. So there are different kind of membership plans available. Really kind of what's most common is what you see on the right side there. It's just kind of a pay-as-you-go option. So $1 to unlock the bikes, and then 15 cents a minute after that. There are, if you think you're going to be, using the bikes more than that, there are several other options. There's a daily pass, which is just available for 24 hours once you sign up for it, $15, and that waives the unlock fee, and it gets you let's see, I believe it's unlimited access to the bikes during that 24-hour period. There's also an annual plan for just under $100. Again, waives the unlock fee and gets you 60 minutes per day of use. And if you were to use the bikes for more than 60 minutes, it would be 15 cents a minute after that. And then finally, there's a Bolt Forward plan for sort of underserved communities, as well as active duty military and veterans, which is available for $29.99. Requires some verification. Same things apply in terms of the unlock fee is waived. But just know that that's available. There's some some additional steps to go through to qualify for that plan. For all of these, there are some fees that apply. So as long as if you were to lock up the bike at outside of one of the designated hubs, there would be a $5 charge. And then if you lock up the bike outside of the service area, which is indicated in the app, it's kind of a green shaded area, covers most, if not all, of Blacksburg, and covers most of Christiansburg. It's $50 if you park outside of that area. So it's really kind of set up to be sort of a point-to-point transportation from kind of hub to hub. And so about those hubs, this is where they're located. Again, this is, I mean, it's this system is really it's kind of unique in that it's unique for Virginia in that it's a regional partnership, and it really kind of couldn't have come about if it wasn't for the Huckleberry Trail, providing that connection between town of Blacksburg and the town of Christiansburg. And so you can see that the hubs are really located primarily along that trail. And so we started with 12 hubs. A year ago, we added several more. The most notable one is one in Montgomery County at the Coal Miners Heritage Park, which has been fairly well utilized since it was added to the system. And there are plans we have in our contract to increase the number of bikes available in the system. We're hoping to get up to 150 bikes, but the supply chain issues and just kind of manufacturing issues in China have really delayed things. And so anyway, we're hopeful that it will happen soon, but until then, we'll kind of stay at 15 hubs. Once we reach that point, we'll add several more hubs in the town of Blacksburg, as well as on Virginia Tech's campus. Just some safety tips I wanted to go over. Because of the additional components that kind of help propel this bike, the battery and the electrical components, they're a little bit heavier than most bikes, and kind of more front loaded. So just keep that in mind as you use them. I mentioned that 15 or 20 miles per hour, depending on where you are. It's 15 miles per hour on the Huckleberry Trail, 20 miles per hour on the streets. The one thing that's very helpful to know is that you need to just keep pedaling. If you're approaching a hill, just keep pedaling and shift into first gear. It's a little awkward. It takes some getting used to, but if you happen to stop on a hill, it's much more challenging because of the weight of the bikes and sort of the time that it takes for the motor to kick in. It's much more challenging to get going kind of in the middle of the hill. So that's one thing that takes some adjustment. If you stop pedaling, the motor will stop. Also, if you brake, the motor will stop. So it's just important to keep pedaling if you want that motor to continue to go and help assist you. They're both front and rear brakes on the bikes. The saddle is also adjustable, which a lot of people don't think to do, but I encourage you to do to help make your ride a lot more comfortable for you. We've this new bike has a much more roomier basket, which is great. It can hold a little bit more. It's also got a cup holder and a phone holder if you want to use your phone's GPS to help figure out where you're going. And there's also free helmets that are available at the Hokie Bike Hub on Virginia Tech's campus. We're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, and our address is 1300 Perry Street. And I apologize, we're surrounded by construction right now. I don't know if Lincoln will get into this, but it's related to BT. But if you can find us on the ground floor of the garage there, we've got a helmet that you're welcome to. And so that's really it for Roman review.
Is there a way to adjust the speed? I mean, you don't have to go 15 miles per hour.
A way to adjust the speed less than 15 miles per hour?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, okay. So no, there's not, but the motor does sort of it's not kind of immediately going to get you up to 15 miles per hour. There is a little bit of a jolt, but you can feel the speed kind of pick up. So if you want to go less than 15 miles per hour, what I have found that works for me is you just you pedal a little bit, you let the motor kick in a little, then you stop pedaling. So you sort of have to figure out when to stop pedaling and sort of let yourself coast, and when to pick up again to go faster. So
Have you thought about adding e-trucks? E-trucks for older people.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear that.
Can you repeat the question? Have you thought about adding tracks? Tricycles, like your tricycles.
He's wondering about tricycles for older people. Electronic or e-tricycles.
Yeah, that's not a conversation we've had with the vendor. I do know, or at least I know at one time the Portland, Oregon bike share system did have some recumbent bikes, and sort of more bikes for kind of all abilities. But I don't know if other systems have picked up on that. But that's something we can ask about and see if there's a possibility to include that in the system in the future.
Is there any problem on the Huckleberry Trail that the bicycles are really quiet, and the conflict between bicycles and pedestrians? Does the bike make sound?
I think it's kind of an ongoing thing. It really depends on the user. We do try to promote proper trail etiquette and just kind of announcing your presence, passing people on the left. The bikes are equipped with bells, so you can also ring the bell if you don't want to use your voice. We do hear complaints from time to time, and it really just depends on the users. But we encourage people to slow down when you're approaching someone who's going at a pace much slower than you, just to be courteous to other users on the trail.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you, Nick. I don't know if you could hear it earlier, but we were clapping for you.
Great, thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lincoln Sklar, and I'm with Blacksburg Transit. Can everybody hear me okay? Great. So before I get started, who in this room has ridden Blacksburg Transit before? Okay, so not total newbies. That's great. So what is Blacksburg Transit? We call ourselves BT, and we're the local bus service. We have coverage throughout Blacksburg and Christiansburg. We cover in Blacksburg most of the major apartment complexes. In Christiansburg, we also cover most of the major apartment complexes, downtown, the mall, all of the different places you might want to get. Pre-COVID, we were carrying between 28 and 30,000 passengers a day. That's a lot of cars taken off the road. Right now, when we're in full service, we're seeing between 20 and 25,000 passengers per day. So we're getting back to our pre-pandemic levels as people get a little bit more comfortable riding the bus again. We have 3 different kinds of service with BT. Our biggest service would be our Blacksburg fixed routes. So what fixed routes mean? It's kind of what you're used to when it comes to a bus service, that it runs a route and it has specific stops and it stops along those stops. When we are in full service, we have 16 routes running. They run from 7 a.m. to midnight or later. On Friday and Saturday evenings, we run until close to 3 a.m. So we want to make sure everybody gets home safely from late night studying downtown. When we're on reduced service, so when students are gone, we move down to reduced service level, and we run a shorter service day and fewer routes. We also have less frequency. So when we're in full service, our routes are running between 15 to hourly frequency. Our route between Blacksburg and Christiansburg is an hourly route, but most of our routes are on 15-minute frequency. During reduced service, we jump to 30-minute frequency on most routes, or 45 or an hour, depending on what the route is. So in Blacksburg, we also have a complimentary paratransit service. It is a qualified service. You have to submit an application in order to ride it, but it is a door-to-door call and make a reservation based service. You may be riding with somebody else, but oftentimes you're riding solo. So Blacksburg Transit started our access service. Screen share is in the wrong window, so it's not advancing. Just like stop and reshare. Yeah, now share screen. And choose the presentation, the slideshow. Yeah. We good now? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. So we started our paratransit service when the Americans with Disabilities Act came about. So not only can we pick you up on our specialized vehicles, but all of our buses are accessible. All of them have wheelchair ramps, straps for securing a wheelchair in place, and our drivers are all trained to help with paratransit passengers. Our access service is extremely important because it allows our members of the community to do what we call age in place. So it provides access to the community for those who are no longer able to drive or choose not to drive or haven't ever been able to drive, to get around and to stay in their own homes as they get older. And our third service is our Christiansburg service. So in Christiansburg, we have 2 types of service. We have our Explorer Gold and Blue routes, which you can see on this map over here. And those are what we call a deviated fixed route. So most of the time, they're running their normal route, but our riders can request a deviation as long as it is within 5 minutes of the route and doesn't cause the route to go off schedule. So say you live a little bit on the outskirts or need to get a little bit further out than we go, as long as you're within the town limits of Christiansburg, we can usually accommodate you. And then we have a demand response service. This is unlike our access service. You don't need to qualify in order to use it. It's open to anybody and it runs anywhere within the town limits of Christiansburg. Town limits is important. We can't function outside of town limits. So in Blacksburg and Christiansburg, there are some addresses that are labeled Blacksburg or Christiansburg, but are within the county. kind of a neat project we've got going on, especially applicable for sustainable Blacksburg, is our electric buses. We currently have 5 electric buses in service. You may have seen the really pretty blue ones rolling around. And these are zero emission vehicles. We'll see a lot of energy saving and especially reduced emissions from these vehicles. They are charged at our home base. But as part of the next thing we're going to talk about, we are looking at doing rapid chargers. We'll see over the life of these vehicles about $125,000 worth of maintenance savings. So they will be more cost effective in the end. They also have extreme noise reduction. These buses are so quiet. They actually have an alarm system on them that says bus is turning as they're turning so that pedestrians are alerted. You really can't hear them running when they're on. Our goal is to go fully electric within the next 15 years. That number is important. In about 15 years?
15 years?
Yes. So that's important because our buses have a lifespan of about 12 years. So, and we see that our buses can last even longer because we take such good care of them. So we will get new electric buses as we replace old ones. We'll actually see 50% of our fleet go electric within the next 5 years because we have so many vehicles coming up for replacement. We have 5 more on order right now that we should see in about a year to a year and a half. And then another 17 we'll see in the next few years. Buses, unlike cars, you can't just go to a lot and pick one out. They're made to order. So it's a bit of a long time from when we order them to when we have them here at BT. So you may see news articles that we've gotten grants to purchase more electric buses, but it'll still be a little bit before you see them hitting the streets of Blacksburg. Oh, yes. So our largest 60-foot articulated ones are about $1 million, the electric ones. So they're not inexpensive, but it's worth it for it. Going back to the costs, we actually, in purchasing our first 5 electric buses, we received money from the Volkswagen settlement. Is anybody familiar with that? Volkswagen was lying about their emissions and were required to send out a lot of money to states, and states were to use them for environmentally friendly programs. So BT applied and got funding to bring us up to the point where we could do electric buses for the 5 vehicles that we needed to replace to make the difference between a diesel bus and an electric bus. And part of that project, we actually had to take those buses and destroy them in a way they could not go back out on the road. So usually we resell our vehicles when they reach the end of their lifespan with us. But those 5 that we replaced with electric buses, we had to cut the frames and destroy the engines so that they could not be back out on the road and releasing emissions. Possibly. So the next round, I don't believe were purchased with Volkswagen funding, but I think the ones after those, it just depends. There's some debate as to whether it's more eco-friendly to keep these buses that have already been created out on the road or to destroy them and take them off the road. You know,
Are you able to recycle the metal?
so we scrapped the metal. We saved some pieces for some future art installations, but we scrapped them. They were diesel buses. We also have 9 hybrid electric buses. They're part diesel powered and part electric powered, but those will eventually be replaced as well. And so, yes, we have 53 larger buses. So like I said, about half will be fully electric in the next 5 years because we have about 20 that'll be up to be replaced at the same time. And Nick hinted at some of the big construction we've got going on campus is our multimodal transit facility. So right now our routes go in all over Virginia Tech campus. And it's not the most efficient way to travel, especially if you've ever been on campus during class change time. It's hard to make your way through with a car, even harder with a bus. So we are building a multimodal transit facility, and it'll be a center for transportation, not just for Virginia Tech and Blacksburg Transit, but for other transit providers in the region, such as Radford Transit, Smartway, Virginia Breeze. Well, we have 2 loops, an east and a west loop with bus slips where buses will pull up. We also have a little building that's being built, which will have a lounge for our operators, a lounge for our riders to wait when it's a little bit chilly or a little late out. And we'll be able to reduce the length of our rides by providing more efficient service and therefore increase frequency. It's in construction right now. We're hoping to have it open in the fall of 2023, barring any major issues.
Oh, excuse me, what are those ovals?
So those are the bus loops. So the buses will come in here, and then we have slips, which are these little, they're represented by the little blue areas where the buses will come in and pick up passengers, and then they'll loop back out and head back out for another route. No, no, this is only public transit. So just to go over quickly, for those of you who haven't ridden the bus before, it can be a little bit intimidating. Where do you find the bus? How do you get on? What do you do when you're on the bus? So I'm going to take you through really quickly. The first thing you have to do is find your stop/route. There's a few different ways to do this. You could use our website. We have an app on both iOS and Android, or you could give us a call. We're always happy to, help our riders out or future riders. The next thing you want to do is you want to get on the bus. If you're not certain if it's your bus, we get it. It's confusing. Ask the operator. The bus drivers are very friendly. They're happy to help you out. When you are ready to exit the bus, you'll pull the yellow cord inside of the bus, or there are stop request buttons throughout as well. And then finally, if you are on one of our larger buses, you want to go out the back door, in the front, out the back. This is especially important when we have lots of riders riding, because we want the flow of traffic to go smoothly. So people trying to get on board don't get trampled by those trying to get off. So we are currently fare free. Our hope is to go permanently fare free. So as of right now, no payment. So just a little bit about our app. Like I said, it's on both iOS and Android. Some of my favorite features include the live map, so you can actually see the buses floating around on the map. You can plan a trip. You can select on the home screen to see the stops closest to your location, and you can favorite stops. We see most of our riders use the same stops over and over and over again, and you just want to know what time it gets to your stop. Another way, if you're not an app person, I'm not a huge fan of apps myself, we have a website with all of the same features as our app, and we have a texting number. So if you know what stop you're getting on and off, you can text your stop number to this number right here, and it will give you the next arrival times, and it'll also give you any alerts that might impact you based on what route surface your stop. And finally, if you don't like the website, the app, texting, you can find us on social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We're very active on them. We help a lot of riders this way, from where is my bus to I lost my AirPods, how do I get them back? So you feel free to reach out to us on any of our social handles. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I was, so I've used that bus, the one prior to Virginia Breeze, from DC, past the park in Christiansburg, because that's where the hub was. Is there a place to park from Blacksburg? Because now at least from campus, which is nice. But.
So I'm not associated with that bus line, so I don't really know anything about it. I assume there are places. I know it leaves from campus, so I don't know. A bus to Roanoke? Yes, that's the Smartway system. That's also separate from Blacksburg Transit. Yes.
Any plans to have cutouts in the, along the roads? Because currently the vehicles block one of the lanes. And you see that, so you'll be going down the road, if that lane is blocked because the bus is sitting there, has been sitting there for a while. Or you've got these extended ones that really take up a lot of room, so you've got to work your way around that obstacle in trying to get around town. So, I've seen other places, other towns where they have a cutout in the sidewalk, where they pull in off of the lane, out of the lane, so that other cars can get by. Is there any plans?
So we do actually have a lot of bus pullouts throughout Blacksburg and are going back as new apartment complex get built. We're working with those developers to add pullouts to potential existing stops, such as the hub. You'll see a new pullout being built there, and we have a few more that are in the works this summer. It's not possible everywhere. Truly is not possible everywhere due to private property, the roads just not being wide enough, disrupting sometimes where would the sidewalk go if you had to do a bus cutout. So we are putting more in and working with developers to do that, but it's not possible everywhere in Blacksburg.
So we're sitting there wondering what's happened to we found the bus coming. They found the bus and they said, oh yeah, she's on the bus. She's sitting there chatting with the driver. It's gonna be you guys are my hero.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Follow up on your statement, which is the new multimodal hub, is it going to reroute some of those routes that are on Main Street? That's where I run into the traffic issue, is the stops, the BT stops along Main. Is there specifically like the 16 square area? So is there
So we'll
because this may be now
we'll still run through downtown because people want to go there. So the routes that run through downtown will have some rerouting, but we will still service those stops in downtown. They're pretty popular. And we understand it does create a traffic issue, but the other way to look at it is every person we get on the bus is left traffic on the road.
Absolutely. I was just thinking that since now there's going to be kind of this amalgamation of all of the transportation there, that there could be on that spot right by the needle shop, on Main Street, instead of one end of Main Street, the other end of Main Street, and then walk.
Well,
or take a roam bike the last mile.
the problem is accessibility. So for those who can't walk long distances, we keep our stops within a certain radius of different areas. And that's part of the qualification for access is, can you get from your location to a bus stop? So I definitely understand it. I live in an area of town with a lot of bus stops, a few that are, in my opinion, a little too close together. But yes. Mhm.
Most of this conflict with cars, you've got 28,000 car rides, which aren't happening. 28,000 parking places, which you don't need. So there's a real benefit to everyone.
Oh, absolutely. And it, part of building the multimodal transit facility is the hope that we can get even more cars off the road and make it even more accessible for people to ride with us. I will also put a plug in, and we have a bus that'll be here out in the parking lot. Should anybody be a bike rider, all of our buses are equipped with bike racks on the front. You can see here both our larger vehicles and our smaller vehicles, like what we use in Christiansburg, Our older models can carry two bikes on the front of the bus, and our newer ones, we're now getting 3 bike racks because we see that there's a need. So we have a lot of riders that bike and bus. We know Blacksburg weather can change at the blink of an eye, so it might be beautiful in the morning and snowing in the afternoon. So you can definitely ride your bike and then also bus with BT. So they're resold. They go out for auction and other transit facilities buy them. Mhm. We take really good care of our buses. They tend to have a bit of a bidding war when they go up for auction. People want BT buses.
Have you found any suggestions for people who are not within town and want to drive to park and access the bus system of where one could park?
It depends on where you're living, and I'm happy to give some recommendations a little bit more personalized to that. I will also say you work at Virginia Tech and you're commuting from out of town, but want to park a little closer to campus, but don't want to pay the full parking pass fee. They do have a commuter lot that we service. So that's another option for those who truly need to drive further into town. But there are plenty of spots where you can drive in and then access BT from. If you're coming like from McCoy area, there's parking like in the Food Lion, Heathwood area. You're coming from the other side of town, there's parking there. You can access from Christiansburg, you can park at the mall and take the 2-town trolley into Blacksburg. So there's a number of different options, just depends on where you're coming from. Any other questions? Thank you all.
Very much.